I've taken note that you guys really enjoyed my tokenism video and it sparked a discussion. You guys left comments based off of your own experiences, and I shed some light on the token female black characters and the issues they face on set. This is my part 2 version on the more modern female actresses as they spoke out against the shows they worked on and the treatment that they endured. A lot can be said about the roles being taken, but I want you guys to remember that these are people's careers. I'm pretty sure they didn't try to accept the role knowing they'd face some form of mistreatment. With that being said, let's get into the video. First up, this is from the cast of Riverdale, y'all favorite show. Riverdale is a popular teen show on the CW. When it comes to the CW, there's actually a lot of people that have spoken out against the network and the treatment that they receive. We'll get into more of that. Vanessa Morgan is the only mixed regular on the show, so when it comes to any type of black characters, the selection is very slim. And side note, who used to watch My Babysitter's a Vampire? Cause I remember I was always shocked on how good the movie actually was, and that's where I always remember her from, cause I always thought she was so pretty. But the show was pretty good too. But Vanessa has been very vocal about the treatment of her character and herself at the hands of Riverdale creator Roberto Sacasa. On the show, Vanessa plays the role of Tony Topaz. She had a simple role in season 2 and became a full-time regular in the 3rd season. In the show, she is the leader of the Southside Serpents, the Serpent Queen. So her role is very vital in the show regarding the gangs, and she serves as the school journalist to represent the underrepresented people of Riverdale. She was a solidified main character, and the fans generally liked her and her story. She was refreshing and brought a new vibe to the show. Her story being the Serpent Queen, her character brought sass and a sense of self. But the story arc soon diminished as soon as Roberto basically threw her character to the side. A lot of fans began to notice that the writers basically began to dim her light once she became Cheryl Blossom's love interest on the show. She went from compelling to basically a side character following behind the cooch cooch of the white girl. And fans were not messing with it, and nor was Vanessa, which compelled her to speak up about it. She posted on Twitter, "To my black fans, I have now made it my purpose to fight for us. To the 6-year-old me who had no role model that looked like me on TV, this is for you. We aren't your token black, non-dimensional characters. This is being black in Hollywood. I will fight for you, and I will no longer take roles that don't properly represent us. Period." I can't say I don't agree with what she's saying. I've actually heard that Roberto has a tendency to bounce around storylines and not actually give it a clean finish. But when it comes to Tony's character, fans were continuously disappointed because she never got a backstory. We don't know much about Tony, her parents, just a few relatives that hopped in and out the show.
I know, a little bit of every other character's background. I really don't know mine or Sweet Pea's or Fangs. So between our little gang, I would love to know more about what happened to my parents. Do I have siblings?
Roberto did promise fans that he'd deliver more of a storyline for her, but he didn't dive much deep in comparison to her other counterparts. It was good at first, but once her and Cheryl got together, it became lackluster. The personality the fans loved began to dwindle. Each time Tony did something that gave the writers an opening to develop her character, it was completely ignored. But she's not the only POC character that the writers didn't bother to take time on. The other black characters have taken a stance to also speak up about the lack of opportunities for their characters. Ashley Murray and Asha Bromfield opened up about feeling frustrated about the lack of backstory and equal opportunity they were not given through their characters. Asha, who was a part of the Pussycat group on the show, stated, "In one breath, being a part of Riverdale was the most profound, historic, exciting thing for me as a black actress, and on the other end, it was devastating. We stand in the background and we have a lot of attitude, or we don't talk. Or we're only included when we're uplifting white characters. I'm so much more, and black people are so much more than support systems. It becomes toxic messaging when we are perpetrating this idea that there's any less validity to my own life than yours. That's my sole purpose in this world, is to support someone who looks like you." The Pussycats were more prominent in the show and quickly began to fizzle away, which frustrated the actresses. But what she said about the black characters having attitude with no lines is insulting. And she's not the last to say something of similarity, as her other co-stars Bernadette Beck spoke out also regarding the display of her character. Bernadette, who played Peaches and Cream, told Elle that she felt like she was just there for the sake of diversity. Basically a "look, we have a black character" type of cover. She stated, "I get it. There's always a protagonist and an antagonist, but I had never had much of a story plot or enough character development to even be considered an antagonist. I was there for no reason, depicted in a very negative, unattractive light, and I'm not the first black actress to show up on set, stand there, chew gum, and look sassy and mean. She expressed that the negative light given to her character was rubbing her the wrong way, and she actually began to feel worried about how the direction of her character may typecast her. If you don't know typecasting in Hollywood, just think of someone like The Rock or Kevin Hart, basically playing the same character in every role you get. Bernadette nor the audience knows much about Peaches. She's just there, but because she's there and mean, that also affects the way the audience views you. She doesn't have a positive light in the show, so it can really affect her fan base. If you guys need a little further example, just think of Joffrey in the Game of Thrones. I still can't stand his little ass, but it's a perfect example on how a character can impact the audience's view on you. She continued and said, "What kind of opportunities are we losing out on even after Riverdale? Our white co-stars are getting all this screen time and character development. They're building up their following, generating more fans, selling out conventions, and fans have more of an emotional connection with them. But if we don't necessarily get that, and we're looked at with disdain, what does that do to us? And how does that stain our reputation moving forward?" A question within an answer. There is a very clear bias when it comes to Riverdale and how they represent their characters. Cheryl is given rich bitch, but hers is cute while everybody else of color is just given bitch. It's not fair, and it's also infuriating when you're giving no direction but to look mean and completely forgotten about like a throwaway when you have potential to have a true story. But that's not even the worst of it. Vanessa also stated in her series of tweets, not only was she tired of being represented incorrectly, but she is also the least paid on the show. Honestly, at this point, who is shocked at that? It is known that women in Hollywood don't get the same wages as men, but minority women are tried the most. Shocker. This revelation sparked a lot of backlash from fans. Vanessa's character is a fan favorite, and it generated enough attention to get a response from Roberto, who actually made a post about it on Instagram acknowledging this issue. He wrote, "She's right. We're sorry, and we make the same promise to you that we did to her. We will do better to honor her and the character she plays, as well as all our actors and characters of color. Riverdale will get bigger, not smaller. Riverdale will be part of the movement, not outside of it. All of the Riverdale writers made a donation to BLM LA, but we know where the work must happen for us, in the writer's room." At the end of the day, none of this stuff should be happening, but it does. The least he could have done was acknowledge the situation, and he did. I call it a step moving forward. Not all black actors can get an immediate response like this. Candice Patton is an American actress that got a lead role on the popular CW show The Flash. Originally, her character was supposed to be white, but for the sake of diversity, she got the role. Now, this is actually a good thing. I'm happy she got the leading role that helped her excel her career. Only problem is she wasn't too happy about it. She revealed she actually wanted to leave the show after season 2 because she received so much hate from the fandoms that it actually made her depressed. When The Flash launched in 2014, there was no real support system for black actors, so whatever happened in the media regarding headlines or fandom was all free game. So she dealt with a lot of scrutiny, and it really began to take a toll on her mental health. She would talk to the network about it, but it really didn't matter because they didn't care. They just felt like she had to have some tough skin to continue in her career. Do you guys see how the racist ass white people treated Halle Bailey when she announced that she was gonna be Ariel in The Little Mermaid? The behavior was disgusting, but she had people rallying behind her to shut the white hoes up. Now imagine 2014 when there were a lot of protests and awareness going on with the police and the community. Things were still fresh, so her being the first black character to enter the DC TV universe when her character was supposed to be white? Oh no, them racist ass motherfuckers was not messing with it. She stated, "It's a dangerous place to be when you're one of the first and you're facing backlash for it and there's no help. Now people understand a little better that they understand how fans can be racist, especially in genre and misogynistic. But at the time, it was kind of like, yeah, that's how fans are, but whatever." With the companies I was working with like CW and Warner Bros., that whatever was their way of handling it. I think we know better now that it's not okay to treat your talent that way and let them go through this abuse and harassment. It's more about the protocols in place and the things I see happening from my white counterparts that's not happening for me. Seeing how I was treated differently than other people. Seeing how I was not protected by the network and the studio. Those were the things that not necessarily hurt me, but frustrated me. Can you guys take the time to imagine that? Your counterparts aren't dealing with half of the scrutiny you're dealing with, but the network goes out their way to protect them, but when you talk about it, it's crickets. Sometimes it's simple things like awareness. She did say luckily things have gotten better for her, but I'm sure it did open her eyes to the importance of representation and having black people in higher positions that can take charge. I hope it'll inspire her to take on the higher role so the next girl won't have to deal with the heat of the world. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this tokenism video part 2. I'm not talking about beauty this time. This is more harsher instances. It's more than beauty and creating your own spaces. It's about feeling human and being treated as such. Accepting a job without having to worry about how you, the only black girl, might get treated. Things have gotten much better, but people in this world are still stupidly obtuse when it comes to treating people fairly, and I just wanted to shed some light on it. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button and share this video if you care. Toodles!